the Jewish Council of the Emirates has developed over a 10-year period, mostly in Dubai, but representing Jews and Jewish communities throughout the UAE. The story of our community and its development is a beautiful story, an inspiring one of grassroots leaders who came together to build a community in a context which was quite difficult 10 years ago, where it was very uncertain what we were allowed to do, what the parameters were. At that time, we didn't really understand what the UAE was. And so I must say that soon there'll be a formal embassy in Abu Dhabi, but we actually did already build a Jewish embassy many years ago. And I'm very proud of our members and their courage and the boldness of their Jewish identity. And I'm very proud to be associated with this Kriel. I want to say that what you're seeing here with this wonderful Abrahamic Accord is the expression of state policy in the UAE that's unfolded over many years and is deeply woven into the values and ethos of the UAE, which is something in Arabic called tasamah, which translates badly into English as tolerance. I think Arabic is a little bit like Hebrew. It doesn't work well in English because tolerance doesn't at all capture what this word tasamah means. It's really much closer to our word chesed, loving kindness. And there's a deep ethos of loving kindness towards people that are different here in the UAE that goes back to the founder of the UAE, Sheikh Zayed, who had a very simple, clear Bedouin morality, which was based on the concept that if God intended us all to be the same, he would have created us that way. So that the differences between us have an element of sanctity to them, which Sheikh Zayed always deeply embraced and acknowledged. And that sense of welcome, that sense of fraternity and universal humanity and citizenship is deeply woven into the DNA of the UAE. So what you're seeing now is the expression of values and policies that have developed over many years. And I, as a leader here, really encourage you to take those values as deeply meant values, not intended for strategic purposes or political purposes, but as an expression of who the Emiratis really are. Briefly, why did these Abrahamic Accords, why did it happen? What were the triggers? I've heard many answers to that question. I think genuinely the Emirati leaders, and particularly His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, were concerned about the possibility of the two-state solution failing as a result of an annexation of the Jordan Valley. And I think it was genuinely important for them to maintain the two-state solution. That's certainly what they've said. If you listen to Anwar Gargash, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. Second of all, the UAE styles itself, and particularly Dubai does, but also Abu Dhabi, as a place of meeting, a place where people from all around the world can come, whether it's for expo or sports events or trade. And in order to be a place where everybody can come, you can't exclude anyone. You can't have an exclusive approach. And I think what they are signaling to everybody is that they want to be a place where everybody, including Israel, can come. And that's very important to them. And finally, and I guess most interestingly, for me, the Abrahamic Accords represents the moment when the UAE steps out boldly and confidently as a sovereign, as a significant and influential leader in the region and perhaps even globally. This is something I think they would not have done in earlier years, even if they'd wanted to. But I think there really is a sense now of confidence, that they have a clear policy, that they've developed it, that they have their own ideas about how they want to relate to Israel, and this is their sovereign will. And speaking now at a more personal level about my interactions with Emiratis, everybody is describing this as a warm peace, as distinct from the peace that Israel had earlier struck with Jordan and Egypt. A warm peace is a peace that is felt by the common man as well. And in fact, I'd go further and say not only is it a warm peace, it almost feels to me like a romance. It feels to me like the Israelis and Emiratis are kind of at the beginning of a romance. And what I'm experiencing as a Jewish leader is that the officials are on both sides are working through the night to implement the Abrahamic Accord as quickly and rapidly as possible because they're passionate about it. And I'm getting calls on both sides well into the evening. I didn't realize that government officials worked at 10 or 11 p.m., but they do, because they are so deeply passionate and committed about implementing these accords. And that's also something that I'm experiencing across the board among Emiratis. We have Emiratis coming to our table on a Friday night and bringing us bouquets of flowers in the colors of the Israeli flag, learning Hebrew, learning about kosher food, and impatient to get on the first flight from Dubai or Abu Dhabi to Ben Gurion, Tel Aviv. So I must say, just at a personal level, honestly, we feel so proud to be the Jews of the UAE. Seeing that Al Al plane arrive on Monday morning was breathtaking, moving. The community watched its progress for every bit of that 3 hours and 20 minutes. We watched it. We were receiving videos that were taken on the flight. Flying over Saudi Arabia for the first time is something that was moving. People were crying. So, sorry, just feeling a bit moved, but an extraordinary moment, forgive me, that we waited for many years. And I feel deeply proud to be here as a Jewish leader, deeply honored to have joined this forum, and I'm feeling very moved about what this means for peace, for the prospect of moving forward and finally resolving issues, for other, hopefully Muslim, Sunni monarchies to join and follow the lead of the UAE. And forgive me for succumbing to the emotion of the moment, but I'll stop there and quit while I'm ahead. Very, very honored to be part of this discussion.